The laughter started before I even reached the table. It wasn't the warm laughter of friends enjoying dinner. It was the kind that stopped the moment I looked up, followed by smirks hidden behind expensive wine glasses. Every eye in the restaurant seemed to drift toward me as if I were walking into a trap I couldn't yet see. Then I noticed the empty chair waiting for me, and the beautiful pregnant woman standing beside it, gently resting a hand on her round belly while everyone watched to see what I would do next. I had no idea that the cruel joke meant to humiliate me would become the night that changed every life in that room forever. Before we continue, if you believe kindness is stronger than cruelty and that everyone deserves a second chance, please like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to Kindness Legacy. Your support helps us bring more emotional stories that remind the world compassion still exists. My name is Adrian Mercer, and at 33 years old I had become the office's favorite target. I wasn't rich, flashy, or loud. I worked as a senior systems analyst, arrived early every morning, stayed late when deadlines demanded it, and spent most weekends helping my widowed mother keep her small bookstore alive. While everyone else competed for promotions through office politics, I simply believed hard work would eventually speak for itself. Unfortunately, in some places, kindness is mistaken for weakness. The annual company networking dinner was held at one of the city's most luxurious restaurants on a bright spring afternoon. Sunlight poured through the enormous glass windows, making the marble floors shine while servers moved gracefully between elegantly dressed guests. Everyone seemed relaxed except me. I had almost skipped the event, but my manager insisted attendance was important for career growth. When I arrived, several coworkers greeted me with unusually cheerful smiles. Looking back, I should have recognized that something wasn't right. People who usually ignored me suddenly wanted to shake my hand and point me toward a special table reserved just for me. They claimed they had arranged a surprise blind date because they were tired of seeing me single. Embarrassed but trying to be polite, I walked toward the table. Standing beside it was Marina Holloway, wearing a graceful blue dress beneath a cream-colored coat. Her pregnancy was impossible to miss, yet her gentle smile somehow carried more sadness than joy. She looked just as confused as I felt. The room became strangely quiet. Then someone whispered loudly enough for everyone to hear that they had finally found the perfect woman for Adrian because nobody else would ever choose him. A few people laughed. Someone joked that at least I wouldn't have to worry about waiting to become a father. Another suggested I should thank them because they had saved me months of dating. The laughter spread across the room. I felt my face burn with humiliation. For a brief moment, I considered walking away. Every instinct told me to escape before things became even more painful. Then I looked at Marina. She wasn't laughing. Her eyes were lowered toward the floor as though she had already endured far too many moments exactly like this one. She wasn't part of the joke. She was another victim. Instead of leaving, I slowly pulled out her chair and invited her to sit first. The laughter immediately faded. I thanked the waiter, ordered lunch for both of us, and asked Marina if she was comfortable. She looked genuinely surprised. During the first few minutes, neither of us spoke much. Outside, the afternoon sunlight reflected across the gardens surrounding the restaurant while birds landed near the fountains. It should have been a beautiful day, yet sadness surrounded our table like invisible rain. Eventually Marina smiled softly. She admitted she had been invited by a woman she barely knew, who promised to introduce her to kind people and possible job opportunities after months of unemployment. She hadn't realized she had been brought there simply to become the center of someone else's entertainment. Her husband had died 8 months earlier in a construction accident just weeks after learning they were expecting their first child. Overnight she had lost her partner, her financial security, and most of the people she believed were friends. Pregnancy only made finding work more difficult. Employers smiled politely before choosing someone else. The only thing she refused to lose was hope. Listening to her story made my own embarrassment seem incredibly small. I shared my own life honestly. My father had passed away when I was 19. Since then I had balanced work with caring for my mother, who struggled to keep her beloved bookstore open against online competition. Dating had never been a priority because family always came first. For the first time that afternoon, Marina laughed naturally. She admitted it felt strange how two complete strangers could understand each other better in 30 minutes than some people managed after years. Around us, my coworkers slowly stopped pretending not to watch. They had expected arguments, awkwardness, or an angry exit. Instead, they saw two ordinary people treating each other with dignity. The atmosphere around the restaurant quietly shifted. As lunch continued, Marina excused herself briefly. When she stood, she suddenly lost her balance. Without thinking, I caught her before she could fall. The room froze. One of the restaurant managers immediately called for medical assistance while several guests rushed toward us. Marina assured everyone she simply felt dizzy because she had skipped breakfast to save money. That sentence hit me harder than anything else. A pregnant widow had skipped breakfast because she couldn't afford it. Meanwhile, people wearing $1,000 suits had used her pain as entertainment. I helped her back into her chair while the restaurant brought water and fresh food. No one laughed anymore. The silence felt heavy. Then something unexpected happened. The elderly owner of the restaurant, who had quietly observed everything from another table, approached us. His name was Harold Whitmore, a respected businessman known throughout the city for supporting charities without seeking recognition. He looked directly at Marina before turning toward my coworkers. He calmly asked who had arranged the prank. No one answered. Finally, one employee admitted they thought it would be funny because Adrian was always too nice to defend himself. Harold's expression hardened. He explained that dignity was not entertainment and that humiliating vulnerable people revealed far more about the bullies than their victims. He apologized personally to Marina. Then he surprised everyone again. He offered Marina a well-paid administrative position beginning after her maternity leave, including full medical coverage. Tears immediately filled her eyes. She had spent months praying for a chance exactly like this. The restaurant erupted into genuine applause. But the biggest surprise hadn't happened yet. Harold turned toward me. He explained he had spent nearly an hour watching my behavior before introducing himself. He had witnessed dozens of successful businessmen inside the restaurant that afternoon, yet only one man had chosen compassion over pride when publicly embarrassed. He asked where I worked. When I answered, he nodded thoughtfully. Apparently his investment company had recently purchased a major share in my employer's corporation. Several executives at my company suddenly looked nervous. Harold requested a private conversation with our CEO, who had also attended the dinner. 15 minutes later, rumors spread across the restaurant. The employees responsible for organizing the cruel prank had been suspended pending investigation for workplace harassment. The CEO publicly apologized to both Marina and me before the entire gathering. People who had laughed earlier couldn't even meet our eyes. But revenge wasn't what mattered anymore. What mattered was that one simple act of kindness had broken the chain of cruelty. Lunch eventually ended beneath bright afternoon sunshine. Before leaving, Marina thanked me for treating her like a human being instead of a joke. I smiled and reminded her she never needed to thank someone for basic respect. Over the following months, something remarkable happened. Marina began working for Harold's company after welcoming a healthy baby girl named Hope. She became one of the most respected members of the administrative team because everyone admired her determination. Meanwhile, Harold unexpectedly invited me to join his organization as Director of Technology, explaining that technical skills could be taught, but character was priceless. The promotion transformed my life. For the first time, I could finally help my mother renovate her struggling bookstore instead of worrying every month about unpaid bills. Business slowly improved. Children once again filled the little shop during weekend reading events. Nearly a year after that unforgettable lunch, Marina invited my mother and me to Hope's first birthday celebration. Watching the little girl laugh beneath colorful balloons reminded me how close her future had come to being overshadowed by cruelty. Instead, she had entered a world where strangers chose compassion. Life has a strange way of rewarding people who refuse to become bitter. The people who mocked us eventually disappeared from our lives, but the friendships built through kindness continued growing stronger every year. Sometimes I still think back to that afternoon. Had I stood up and walked away, everyone would have understood. Had I shouted in anger, nobody would have blamed me. But choosing compassion instead of pride changed everything. It gave a grieving mother hope. It restored faith in humanity for an elderly businessman. It opened doors I never imagined possible. Most importantly, it reminded me that every person carries battles invisible to everyone else. The easiest choice is often walking away. The hardest, and sometimes the most rewarding, is choosing kindness when the world expects anger. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, share it with your family and friends, leave your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to Kindness Legacy. Every interaction helps us continue sharing stories that inspire compassion and hope. Speech balloon special request. Tell us in the comments, what would you have done if you were sitting in Adrian's place that afternoon? As I watched little Hope take her first unsteady steps across the bookstore floor months later, laughing while my mother clapped proudly beside her, I finally understood something my father used to say. A person's true character isn't revealed when life is easy. It appears in the quiet moments when nobody expects kindness, when walking away would be simpler, and when helping someone else costs you your pride. That afternoon began with laughter meant to humiliate two strangers. It ended by proving that compassion has a way of exposing cruelty, healing broken hearts, and changing destinies forever. And in the end, the people who tried to shame us weren't remembered for their jokes. They were remembered for the lesson they accidentally taught everyone watching. Kindness always has the final word.